She grabbed my son's throat in the middle of the bakery. Not yelled. Not pushed. She grabbed his throat, with both hands. In front of me. In front of 20 people. She thought no one would react. She thought we'd be too shocked to move. What she didn't know was that my son, Jamie, is a state wrestling champion. What she also didn't know. I used to teach de-escalation for a living. The takedown wasn't the real twist. That came seconds later, when the HOA vice president stood up and said, "That's enough, Karen. You've embarrassed this community for the last time." You ever seen a woman lose all her power in 5 minutes? It didn't start with her yelling. It didn't start with her choking a teenager. It started with a fingerprint on a glass, and a mother who refused to move her coffee cup. Now let me tell you how it all happened. Because if you've ever felt powerless around people like her, this story is for you. Before we dive into the full story, I just want to say one thing. Thank you for being here. If you're someone who believes that bullies don't get to win forever, please hit that like button to support this channel. It really helps us grow. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We share new real-life stories like this every day, and trust me, they get wild. Also, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or state in the comments. It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel. Now back to Karen. And to the moment she realized, she picked the wrong mom to mess with. That morning started quiet, soft even. Like the world had hit snooze just a few more times. I parked beside the Flour Barrel, this cozy old bakery at the edge of the Briar Hills subdivision. My son, Jamie, stepped out of the car with his backpack slung low and a small box of chess pieces in one hand. That's our Saturday ritual. Coffee for me, warm pretzel for him, and an hour of no screens, just us. Jamie's always been the calm one. Quiet. Observant. He's got this way of shrinking into a corner and watching the world like he's reading it, which is probably why he notices things long before I do. That day he wore his gray hoodie pulled over his head, not because it was cold but because he said it helps him think better. We walked in, and the familiar smell of warm dough and cinnamon sugar wrapped around us like a hug. We took our usual seat near the window. Jamie started setting up a puzzle on his travel chessboard, while I got in line to grab our order. The place was peaceful, a couple of older women chatting near the fireplace, a barista humming along to soft music, someone tapping on a laptop in the back. Ordinary. Safe. That lasted about 13 minutes. I was sipping my coffee, halfway through explaining why the night moves in an L shape, when I heard the door chime. The bakery went a little quieter, the kind of quiet when a storm cloud passes overhead. That was when I saw her. Platinum blonde helmet of a haircut. White turtleneck, crisp as paper. Matching ivory trench coat that didn't bend when she walked. And those heels, needle thin, clicking against the tile like a countdown. Karen. I didn't know her well, but I knew of her. Everyone in Briar Hills did. She ran the HOA like it was a royal court. Fined one neighbor for having too many pumpkins during fall. Told another that her front door wreath was a distraction to passing drivers. She once had a toddler's sidewalk chalk hosed off because it lowered property values. But she had never spoken to me directly. Until that day. She scanned the room like a general checking for enemy lines. Her eyes landed on Jamie and me. At first she said nothing. Just raised one eyebrow and turned to the barista. "This table has crumbs," she said coldly, pointing 2 fingers like she was directing traffic. "And the air smells like cinnamon. It's giving me a headache. I need the corner table. Now." The young barista hesitated, clearly unsure if this was a joke or a test. Someone's already sitting there," she said gently. Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Then unsit them." I froze. Jamie looked up. "Is that the HOA lady?" I nodded barely. "Don't look. Just ignore her." But that wasn't going to work. She was already marching over. She stood over our table, tall and stiff, like she was posing for a courtroom sketch. "Hello," she said with fake warmth. "You don't mind relocating, do you? I have sensitive sinuses, and this table is closest to the air vent." Jamie looked up at her, blinked, and said, "I was here first." Karen didn't flinch. She simply leaned in, eyes sharp. "Excuse me?" I raised my hand. "We're not moving. Please step away." That was the first crack. Her smile twitched. Her eyes flickered. She stood straight again. "I am a board-certified HOA official in this neighborhood. That means I have jurisdiction over all public behavior on commercial properties within Briar Hills." Jamie tilted his head. "This bakery is an HOA property." She went red. Just a flash, but I saw it. "Your attitude is unacceptable," she snapped. "And filming minors without consent is a crime." I blinked. "No one is filming. My phone's face down. She pointed to Jamie's open tablet. That has a camera. You have no idea what kind of danger you're in, do you? Jamie leaned back, calm as still water. I'm just doing my math homework. Karen scoffed. Well, maybe next time, don't aim your device at people who don't want to be watched. He didn't reply. He didn't need to. But then she reached for the tablet. And Jamie pulled it back. Her fingers brushed the corner of the screen and in a flash her hand snapped back, right to his throat. Both hands. Grabbing. Squeezing. Like she wanted to make a point. Like she thought no one would stop her. Everything in me froze for half a second. Then I stood. Next part, coming up. Her hands didn't stay there long, maybe 2 seconds at most, but 2 seconds was enough to shift the entire room. The barista screamed. Someone's coffee hit the floor. A chair scraped hard against tile as an old man stood up fast, knocking into a pastry display. And me? I didn't yell. I didn't throw my coffee. I just moved. I reached across the table, grabbed her wrist and pulled. Art. Karen stumbled back, hands snapping off Jamie like burned wires. Her mouth opened in shock as if the laws of physics had just betrayed her. I stepped between them and locked eyes with her. You touch my son again, I said, and you're going to be picking your teeth out of that cinnamon loaf. A hush fell over the bakery. Karen clutched her arm like she'd been wronged. You assaulted me, she screeched. You witnessed that, right? She pointed around the room, spinning like a badly programmed robot. No one answered. Phones were out. Cameras were rolling. Jamie was sitting back in his chair, quiet again, fingers resting calmly on the table, breathing steady. But his eyes? Laser-focused. He looked alert. Like he'd seen this kind of thing before. Karen wasn't done. This child lunged at me, she cried. He threatened me. I felt unsafe. I'm placing him under community review. There is no such thing, I cut in flatly. I am the HOA chairwoman, she barked. You're in a bakery, Jamie said without looking up. You don't even have jurisdiction over the bathrooms. Karen's eyes bulged. She turned to me, voice rising. You think this is funny? You think this is some game? She grabbed a napkin holder from the table and slammed it down. You're going to regret this. You're both going to be banned from every store in this district. I'll make sure of it. I stepped forward, closing the space between us. You're not in charge here, Karen. You don't get to bully kids. You don't get to lay hands on anyone. She took a step back. A tiny one. Enough for me to see it. Fear. And then she flipped. Full meltdown mode. Karen turned on Jamie again, this time shrieking, I'm confiscating this device as evidence. She lunged, grabbed the tablet right off the table and backed away, holding it up like it was a trophy. Jamie stood. No rush. No flinch. Just stood. He was still shorter than her, a lanky 16-year-old in a soft hoodie and beat-up sneakers. But the way he moved made Karen hesitate for just a blink. Give it back, he said. Karen sneered. You want this? Then apologize. Admit you were spying on me and promise you'll delete the video. There is no video, he replied. You're lying. I'm not. You little punk. And then she did the dumbest thing possible. She raised her arm and swung the tablet at his chest like a shield bash. It bounced off harmlessly, but that wasn't the point. The point was she attacked. Again. In front of everyone. And this time Jamie didn't wait. He moved with speed that didn't match his soft appearance. One hand caught her wrist. The other slipped behind her elbow. A sharp pivot, just 15 degrees of twist, and Karen's balance betrayed her. She stumbled forward. And then came the takedown. He didn't throw her. He guided her down. The way you'd lay a wild dog on its side. Controlled. Come. Karen hit the floor, breath knocked from her lungs. A collective gasp from the bakery. I didn't move. I didn't have to. Jamie stood over her, expression blank. Not angry. Not gloating. Just done. Karen writhed on the tile, one shoe missing, her trench coat splayed open like a torn flag. Her face was red, not just from impact but from humiliation. One of her fake nails had snapped clean off and skidded across the floor. She pointed up at Jamie and wailed, I want him arrested. Arrested for assault. That was a violent, calculated attack. No, I said, stepping in. That was self-defense. And everyone saw it. Phones were everywhere now. 3 angles minimum. The barista had stopped filming and was already on the phone. Yes, I'd like to report a woman attacking a minor. Yes, he defended himself. No, no one else is hurt. She's still yelling. Yes, I believe she's the HOA chair, but this didn't happen on HOA property. Karen tried to get up, slipped on the tile and fell again with a heavy thump. Her voice cracked. I have rights. I have community status. This was entrapment. Karen, someone said from across the room. We turned. It was Mr. Hensley, the retired fire marshal who lived on Oak Bend Drive. HOA vice president. Widower. Big mustache. Slow walker. He stood slowly adjusting his belt. Then he said it. That's enough, Karen. You've embarrassed this community for the last time. Karen froze. She looked up at him like he'd slapped her. You're taking their side? Mr. Hensley shrugged. I'm taking the side of reality. And right now, reality says you assaulted a teenager in a bakery full of witnesses. A low murmur rippled through the room. Then, from the back, someone clapped. Then another. Soon the whole bakery was cheering. Karen was still on the floor. Her mascara was smudged, lipstick smeared into her cheek like a red bruise. Her coat had a coffee stain across the back and she looked small. Like all the power she built was made of tissue paper. She wasn't feared anymore. She was seen. I knelt beside her, not out of kindness, but because I wanted her to hear me. You know what the worst part is? I whispered. He held back. If he hadn't, you'd still be unconscious. Karen whimpered. Jamie stepped forward, grabbed his tablet from the floor and tucked it under his arm. Mom, he said. Yeah. Can we go now? I nodded. As we turned toward the door, the crowd parted like we were royalty. Karen stayed on the tile, wheezing, clutching her ego like a broken bone. And somewhere, beneath the cheers and the camera clicks, I swear I heard the first crack of her reputation splitting in half. The bakery door shut behind us with a soft click, like punctuation at the end of a sentence. Sunlight spilled over Jamie's face as we stepped onto the sidewalk. He blinked once, adjusted his hoodie and said nothing. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He just walked beside me like it had been any other Saturday. Like he hadn't just flipped the most feared woman in Briar Hills onto a pastry-slicked floor in front of half the neighborhood. Are you okay? I finally asked. Jamie nodded once. I'm good. Then after a pause, she touched my throat. I didn't answer. There wasn't anything to say. We got in the car. I started the engine. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I caught a glimpse in the rearview mirror, Karen still on the floor. Surrounded. Forgotten. She wasn't the villain in a power suit anymore. She was just another adult who went too far. When we got home, the world had already noticed. The first video went up within 20 minutes. A short clip, maybe 15 seconds, but perfectly timed. It captured the exact moment Karen grabbed Jamie's throat, followed by the clean pivot and takedown. No dramatic music. No commentary. Just raw footage. Caption, HOA queen meets her match in a bakery. Within an hour, there were 6 more angles. Each one caught a different piece of the chaos. One from behind the counter. Another from an old woman's phone that trembled as she whispered, "Oh my God." One showed the aftermath, Karen screaming, makeup smeared, sitting in spilled coffee. And then came the comments. Thousands. Some were jokes. Some were angry. But most were thankful. She fined me $75 for leaving a bike on my lawn. This woman told my autistic son to stop acting weird on the sidewalk. She knocked over my daughter's lemonade stand last summer. No one believed me. It was like the dam had broken. Years of quiet resentment flooded out at once. People weren't just angry. They were relieved. Vindicated. Someone had finally stood up to her, and not with lawsuits or HOA meetings or strongly worded emails. With calm. With control. With a hoodie. Our community group chat, the one I hadn't looked at in months, was on fire. Neighbors were tagging each other, sharing timestamps, comparing angles. Someone created a meme of Karen mid-fall, with the words Gravity HOA in bold white font. Then came a voice I hadn't heard in over a year. Carlos. Carlos lived 3 streets over. Kept to himself. Retired Marine. Former HOA board member until Karen forced him out for aggressive tone in emails. His message was simple. I'm calling an emergency vote. We're removing her. Enough is enough. 3 minutes later, someone else added. I've got the footage downloaded. In case she tries to claim it's fake. And just like that, what happened in a bakery turned into something bigger. It wasn't just one viral clip. It was the moment. Jamie didn't look up from his book while all of this was exploding. He was on the couch, knees pulled up, quietly finishing his math worksheet like we hadn't just triggered a neighborhood uprising. I sat beside him, still catching my breath. You sure you're all right? I asked again. He looked up, thoughtful. She went after my throat. I nodded. She thought I'd just freeze, he said. You didn't. He shrugged. Didn't want to hurt her. Just wanted her to stop. And that right there, that was the difference. Jamie didn't want to win. He just wanted the bullying to end. That night, I forwarded the clearest footage to the HOA board, the bakery owner, and the local neighborhood watch. I didn't include any commentary. No emotional paragraphs. Just facts. I attached timestamps. Links. Eyewitnesses. The footage spoke for itself. At 9:14 p.m., the official HOA bulletin pinged my inbox. It was from the treasurer. Short. Final. A vote for emergency removal of Chairwoman Karen T. has been initiated. Due to multiple first-hand reports, videos, and documented history of behavior, the board will convene tomorrow at 1 p.m. The HOA does not condone violence, intimidation, or abuse of authority. No fluff. No politics. Just accountability. I stared at the screen for a long minute. Then I looked at Jamie. He was asleep. But he's still on. Lights off. Hands tucked under his cheek like nothing had ever happened. And maybe to him nothing had happened. Because in his head, it wasn't some brave act. It was just necessary. At 10:33 p.m. I got a private message from the treasurer. I heard what your son said to her before she hit the ground. I want you to know, that level of control? That's leadership. If he ever wants to apply for the Junior City Council program, I'll sponsor him myself. And then, a second later. Also, please tell him, that was one hell of a clean takedown. I smiled. Not out of pride. Out of something deeper. Relief. Because for the first time in years, it felt like maybe, just maybe, people were done being quiet. Karen marched into the HOA meeting like she still had power. She didn't. She slammed her purse on the table and started ranting. That video was fake. He attacked me first. I'm the one who's been violated. No one even looked up. The treasurer quietly slid a stack of papers forward. Screenshots, testimonies, footage from 5 angles. Then she pulled out a printed copy of the HOA bylaws and said flatly, "You assaulted a minor. In public. On camera. We're voting now." Karen laughed, the kind of laugh people do when they're drowning. "This is insane. I built this community." "Then you should have protected it," the treasurer said. 7 hands raised. Unanimous. She was out. Karen's mouth opened, reaching for another threat, but the treasurer spoke first. "We also got an email this morning," she said. "Jamie's being offered a leadership scholarship from the state athletic board. They said they've never seen discipline like his at that age." Karen froze. No screams. No words. Just silence. And that was it. Power gone. Fear gone. Karen was finished. That evening, I saw her standing alone at the edge of Briar Hills. Same sunglasses, same coat, but none of the weight she used to carry. She tried to light a cigarette. Failed. Hands shaking. "You proud of yourself?" she spat when she saw me. I paused, then calmly said, "You humiliated yourself. Jamie just stopped you." She didn't reply. Just climbed into her Uber and shut the door. And that was the last time anyone called her Madam Chair. If this story hit something deep, if you've ever seen someone misuse power and finally fall, hit like, subscribe for more real stories like this, and drop your city in the comments. We're building something stronger than fear here. Together.